The air in Rome hung thick with the stench of ambition and stale wine, a familiar perfume these days, clinging to the heavy velvet of my litter and the tunics of the hopeful petitioners who pressed in. I, Fulvia, once merely the wife of Clodius, then Curio, and now Antony's wife, walked through these streets with a different kind of weight on my shoulders. Not the weight of the emeralds at my throat, though they glittered with every calculated turn of my head, but the heavy cloak of power. A power earned not by birthright, but by sheer, unyielding will. They whispered, of course, Antony's shadow. Some hissed, their words like venomous flies buzzing at my ears. The true power behind the throne, others dared, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and grudging admiration. Let them whisper. While they were busy wagging their tongues, dissecting my every move, I was busy pulling the strings. The Senate, that gilded cage of squabbling, stupid old men, thought they controlled Rome. The people, bless their simple hearts, believed in their fiery orators and the bread and circuses designed to distract them. But I knew the truth. Rome wasn't built on speeches or the fleeting cheers of the mob. It was built on alliances forged in shadowed rooms, influence whispered into the ears of key men, and the shrewd, often ruthless application of will. And no one, not Caesar in his divine arrogance, not Pompey in his faded glory, and certainly not that simpering, calculating boy Octavian, had a will stronger than mine. They underestimated me. Every single one of them. They only saw a woman, a wife, a reflection of my husband's glory, and that, I thought, a slow, predatory smile spreading across my lips, was their greatest mistake. My eyes swept over the bustling forum, a chaotic symphony of vendors hawking their wares, citizens haggling, and scheming politicians exchanging clandestine glances. Each face was a potential pawn, each murmured conversation a thread to be woven into my intricate tapestry of control. The sun beat down hot and unforgiving, warming the marble beneath my sandals. But I felt no discomfort, only a prickle of anticipation. The game was far from over. The pieces still shifting on the board, and I, Fulvia, intended to win every single hand. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Brandon, and welcome to the Time Travelers Club. Last time we left Antony, he had just gotten scolded by new daddy Caesar, and not unreasonably. After all, he had made a pretty big mess of things, with all the debt, uprisings, brutal beatdowns of said uprisings. No one was really happy with our favorite frat boy right now. But despite that, there seemed to be love in the air. Someone had their eyes set right on the lovable jock. And it wasn't just any someone. She was a powerful Roman woman. Keeping in mind the type of culture she was in, this was almost more impressive than Cleo herself. So it's time to introduce a new character. Fulvia was tough, you see. She hadn't been promised shit, and she was just meant to be property after all. She was only a woman. But she wouldn't let that stop her from running shit like a boss. Fulvia stands as an extraordinary and formidable presence within the tumultuous final years of the Roman Republic. Her name inextricably linked to a degree of political influence and active participation, almost, I would dare say, just straight up, unheard of for a woman of her era. A period where societal norms rigorously confined the lives of women to domestic spheres. Her remarkable trajectory, beginning in the early 1st century BCE, born to the very heart of Rome's political elite. And just to be clear, it's not that women hadn't influenced men or anything like that, but it was like the idea that women, if they wanted to have power, had to do it behind a veil,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not in their own names. And even after her, that's the status quo. Famously, Nero's mom, right? She did that. Like there was literally a screen where she would tell Nero to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Fulvia ain't fucking around with no damn screen.
She's gonna tell it like it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like in a way, she's working from the shadows, but like it's not like, oh, she does it through her. No, she's doing it in her own name. You know who Fulvia is, and if you went to go speak, you wouldn't go speak to Fulvia's mouthpiece. You would go speak to her, and she would go speak to you. And I don't think we'll find out. I don't think I would want her to come speak to me. Just
Probably
saying.
not. Just
Mm-mm.
no.
Mm-mm. Her lineage, though, was distinguished stemming from the ancient and well-connected gens Fulvia and gens Sempronia, two prominent plebeian families that had achieved significant political standing, ensuring her a prominent place within Roman aristocracy and providing her with an inherent network of influence and privileged birth. So she's not poor, okay? She's not poor.
Mm-hmm.
And she ain't slumming it. But just like Crassus, and this is why I like her more than Crassus, right? Very similar backgrounds. She accepts her role. She knows. She doesn't want to be one of those old fucks. She understands the fluidity of her situation.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to use it, right? So, those liminal spaces. So, it's highly probable that she was an heiress of a pretty considerable fortune, a fact that undoubtedly contributed significantly to her later power, independence, and critically, financial resources she would deploy in her ambitious political endeavors, allowing her to act with a degree of autonomy rarely afforded to a woman of her time. Her early life was marked by two strategically important marriages before her union with Antony, each meticulously crafted to align her with the most prominent and influential politicians at her time, thereby systematically expanding her own sphere of influence and access to the inner circles of Roman power.
Her first husband was Publius Clodius Pulcher, that figure that was notorious for his demagogic charisma, his aggressive and often violent political tactics, and his immense popularity among the Roman plebs, who he skillfully manipulated. Clodius masterfully employed street gangs composed of gladiators, ex soldiers, and disenfranchised urban poor to enforce his will, disrupt political assemblies, and intimidate opponents. These gangs were a dangerous but frighteningly effective tool in the chaotic political climate of the late Republic, and Fulvia quickly grasped their utility. Fulvia was far from a passive wife in this union. Instead, she immersed herself deeply in his often controversial and frequently violent political machinations, learning the brutal realities of Roman power struggles firsthand. She was not merely a witness to, but likely an active and shrewd participant in the strategic deployment of Clodius's gangs, understanding their utility as a tool for political coercion and control in a city where street power often dictated legislative outcomes. A prime example of her involvement came after his violent death in 52 BCE at the hand of Milo's gladiators in a notorious roadside brawl on the Appian Way. Her audacity was on full display when she famously exhibited his mutilated corpse to the Roman populace in the Forum. This was not merely an act of personal grief, though that might have been present. It was a calculated and highly theatrical performance designed to incite widespread outrage against Clodius's killers, to inflame popular sentiment, and to galvanize his supporters into demanding justice.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the scene is that she's carrying his corpse through the streets, like, look at what he did to my boy. Look at it. And, honestly, it can be both. She sees this pull in and her grief, sure, but she does not come off as the woman who just cries. She's going to get angry.
She's
going to get mad.
Even.
And she is like, fuck these guys. Everyone's going to see this. And sure, that comes from an emotional place. But it's also, is it calculating? I guess, yeah. And I don't know, whenever I hear the word like calculating, it's like they had to sit and think about it and they came up with an aha idea. This is to me, on the cuff, right?
She's just clever naturally. She doesn't have to have time to think about it. She's a clever
and so
woman.
Is it a good calculated? Sure, in the sense that she's thought about it. She's like, you know what? The people need to see this because they're going to be just as outraged as me. And that came from an emotional place too. I think it was going to happen whether she thought that they were going to agree with him or not. I think she did think they would agree, or at least hope they would, But I think even if you had told her, hey, they're not going to be on your side if you do this, she was going to anyway. Because
absolutely,
it's the audacity of it. How dare they? And even if one person sees this, good. I'm just saying she is the character when these kinds of characters that they're written into a story or a video game or something. I just love them. She is that strong mob boss lady, the one who's kind of edgy and badass on the surface, but then she turns out to be a great ally in the show or some shit. She's got when you meet her for the first time, she's sitting on a throne or some shit with a pipe in her hand, lounging in the chair, what do you want? And you're just like, damn girl. And and it's always some toxic man who's like, oh, and then she's like, you see these men? They will do whatever I say, motherfucker. You are in my house. And then she just has him torn apart, and it's her character. She is not a good guy. She's not a bad guy. There are no good guys and bad guys, right?
True.
But I adore this woman already. She is powerful, confident, and doesn't she does play games, I suppose, but not at least some of how other women are written. And I honestly think the fact that she isn't rewritten by Roman men, I mean,
there's
she is, but they
respect there.
Yes, and also they're holding her up as look at how crazy this is. She sounds like a man, and that was supposed to be really scary. But at the same time, we just see, she just speaks her mind, speaks for herself, and the men in her life appreciate that. And I love this for her. She doesn't have to manipulate the men in her life. She doesn't come off as manipulative. She can force you to do something if she needs to. She can be savvy, but she's not gonna. It's not the underhanded shit.
It's not shady shit, and she is.
Well, it could be shady as in stab. It might be shady as in stab. But yeah, it's not I'm going to get in bed with you and seduce you. She's not doing any of that. Fuck you. You do what I say, or I stab you in the eye.
She's not the seductress where she's going to play with power with her pussy. She's not
No,
doing
and
that.
she's going to play like the boys. She'll blackmail you. She'll have you assassinated and whatever. And I'm not saying those are good things. Not at all. But I'm just saying she's playing at the level of the boys.
Mm-hmm. And we love this
And
for her.
she's playing better than them. Good for her.
Yes, she is.
Good for her.
But her parading Clodius around. This act vividly demonstrated her nascent political acumen and her unhesitating willingness to exploit public sentiment for her own ends, even in a manner that transcended traditional decorum. She further pressed the political advantage during the ensuing trial of Milo for Clodius's murder. Fulvia appeared in court as a key witness for the prosecution, and according to the ancient commentator Asconius, her emotional testimony greatly moved those who were in attendance. Her powerful appearance and the hostile, intimidating presence of the Clodian faction, undoubtedly encouraged by Fulvia, succeeded in disrupting and weakening the defense of Milo, ultimately contributing to his conviction and exile. This incident cemented her reputation as a woman capable of powerful and deeply public political action, defying the traditional Roman expectation of quiet female mourning and marking her effective debut on Rome's larger political stage.
And you know what I love? It worked.
It did.
We didn't try to play into their norms. I mean, she understood the game, so she had to make sure that her family and male family members were on board with it and everything. But she was loud and proud, and the fact that they not only listened but actually persuaded by it. That's honestly the fact that she somehow managed to break through the misogyny, even for a minute. Good for her. Good for her. I love this for her. Not that her husband's dead, but after said husband's demise, she bounced back pretty quick. Okay, I ain't gonna lie, but don't judge her too hard. She is a woman in Rome after all, and she's unmarried. It's kind of expected, right? And especially if you're trying to keep in the political game, you gotta.
Yeah.
So if she wanted to retire, then she'd probably just stay a widow. But she's not looking to retire. She's young. So she quickly and effectively consolidated her position by marrying a guy named Gaius Scribonius Curio, another significant tribune who had thrown his considerable influence and support behind Julius Caesar. This marriage further entrenched her connections with the rapidly shifting political landscape, aligning her with the ascendant power of Caesar and expanding her network among the Republic's most influential and future-defining figures. Her ability to transition from one powerful alliance to another speaks volumes about her political astuteness and desirability as a partner in the volatile world of Roman politics. Fulvia was undeniably a woman who consistently refused to be constrained by the traditional, restrictive expectations placed upon Roman matrons. Ancient historical accounts, while often biased against strong women, consistently portray her as a woman of immense personal ambition, unyielding, forceful assertiveness, and individual and an individual directly, even intimately engaged with the political careers of her husbands, often exceeding their own zeal and taking initiatives of her own. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that one.
Mm-hmm.
might be important later. The Greek biographer Plutarch famously captured her essence, remarking that, quote, she, quote, wished to rule a ruler and command a commander. Now, he means this in a very disparaging way, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Because to them, that's unnatural. But we love this for her. This is a testament to her profound desire to exert power even over those who ostensibly wielded it, aiming to be the guiding force behind the throne. Her shrewdness and strategic thinking were consistently evident in her remarkable ability to navigate the cutthroat world of Roman politics. And when we say that, right, it sounds like a contradiction to what I said earlier. Like, yes, she needed a man, sort of. Okay. Because she can't go into the Senate. She can't go into those spaces legally, physically cannot go there, right? However, it's not, again, if you have on the streets, it's her. You respect her and you're coming to talk to her to tell her husband to do something. Okay. Like at home, they be equals. And like you see this when Antony gets to her, we'll get into it. I just, you see a lot of like, so when you think about like Roman women, even the powerful empresses and stuff, right? Nero's mom, which I don't know why I'm blanking. She's one of the most famous Roman women of all time, but whatever. Octavian's, Augusta and all that, right? In a world, not that if their male people in their lives slapped them, I could believe it, okay? Like in the sense that if they just, for some reason, snapped and slapped them, not that they'd be thrilled, not that they wouldn't live to regret it, but, I could, see them physically being even able to do that.
Yeah.
As we're going to learn with Fulvia, I think if anyone ever did that, they would slap her and she would immediately respond with decking them. She does not fuck around.
No.
And she will go in the streets herself, like as we have seen. So I don't think it's that she's like in a way, she's kind of a shadow government because she herself cannot physically be there. But like on the streets themselves, there's nothing shadow about it. You go talk to her if you have a problem. Like kind of like the mafia, like a little bit. So, with that being said, her shrewdness and strategic thinking were consistently evident in her remarkable ability to navigate the cutthroat world of Roman politics. A realm rife with backstabbing, literally for Caesar, and her husband, literally, and constant power struggles. She skillfully leveraged her vast network of connections, painstakingly built through her marriages and own personal efforts, and her considerable personal wealth to forge crucial political alliances, identifying and cultivating relationships with key figures that would serve her and her husband's interest. Crucially, and perhaps most uniquely for a woman of her time, she even managed to command the continued loyalty of quote-unquote gangs that had once served her husband, Clodius. So that's interesting, is it not?
It is. The fact that she could like maintain them after his death.
Yeah.
They were still loyal to her.
Yeah. That they're like, we with you, girl.
Honestly,
that's what I mean.
You know what it sounds like? She was the general because she was probably bankrolling them.
Well, also, I mean, like, it just says how much respect,
Oh, absolutely.
that she commanded. And like that it would circumvent all their preconceived notions about women and how that might look if they served a woman like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, not like, oh, they hung around and then when she got married, they kind of went and did off. No, like they stuck with her. They served her. That's pretty intense.
That is pretty intense.
I love that for her. So, and again, when we say gangs, it's not like, West Side Story snapping the fingers. Like, like we're think mafia, think like
suits, big walls of muscle. Yeah, big men, mercenaries, people who are veterans, minor political figures themselves, like people who run bathhouses, people who run like the gambling dens, all of the different like mafia style people, right? All the people who should have a say but maybe don't. So these organized groups of toughs and street fighters, honed in the violent political skirmishes of Rome, remained a potent and often terrifying force in the city's public life, capable of influencing elections, disrupting political proceedings. Fulvia's uncanny ability to retain their allegiance despite Clodius's death and the passage of time, again, speaks volumes about her personal authority, her own reputation for ruthlessness, and her deep understanding on how to wield informal, even illicit power to achieve political objectives. This unprecedented control over essentially a private armed force was a truly extraordinary feat for a Roman woman, for a man, but especially for a woman. Not that women couldn't do it, just really weren't allowed to. And yet she overcame that. Allowing her to exert a form of direct influence rarely, if ever, seen from female figures in the Roman era. It enabled her to protect her interests, advance her agenda, and exert pressure in a manner that fundamentally transcended the conventional boundaries of female involvement in public life, setting her apart as a unique and formidable political player in her own right, long before she became the wife of Mark Antony. Her active role in these turbulent years, particularly in the aftermath of Clodius's death and the consolidating of influence with Curio, foreshadowed the even greater political prominence she would achieve.
After Curio's death in Africa, the widowed Fulvia was still important in elite circles, and her political interests were well known. Marriage to her would provide an important tie to Clodius and his clientela, and could offer a husband money and political organization. Also, her next husband would become the stepfather to Clodius's children, further linking him to the Clodian faction. As it turned out, Fulvia's third and final marriage was to Mark Antony in 47 or 46 BCE, a few years after Curio's death, although Cicero suggested that Fulvia and Antony had had a relationship since 58 BCE.
Which, it's Cicero. Honestly, give me a second. Let's do the math here, okay?
Cicero is just mad he don't get no pussy.
It's possible. Fulvia was born in 83 BCE, she would have been in her 30s. He would have been in his late 20s then 58 BC, that's when he's fucking around in Greece,
Yeah.
I don't know how he's able to do that while all the way over there, but whatever.
He wouldn't be able to. And this is one of the reasons why I don't believe Cicero.
Well, he's implying here that Antony was cuckolding Clodius. That's the implication here. And come on. Sure, I'm sure he knew her and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But come on. But it's smear campaign.
It really
I'm
is.
sorry. It is what it is, but I guess it's even if he was fucking with her, I guess that's better than him diddling a 14-year-old Cleopatra. He didn't diddle her. I'm just saying he maybe thought it. Apparently that's different. So
yeah. So Cicero wrote about their relationship in his Philippicae as a way of attacking Antony. According to him, while Fulvia and Clodius were married, Antony once left a military post to sneak back into Rome during the night and personally deliver a love letter to Fulvia, describing his love for her and saying he had stopped seeing the famous actress Cytheris.
Which, I mean, is not really that bad. I mean, so they're not.
Yeah. It's a
I
smear
mean,
campaign.
yeah,
That
I mean,
sounds sweet.
yeah, it sounds good. I mean, I don't love the infidelity, but I don't love that. But like, and I also don't think that this is real.
Yeah. No,
But
definitely not.
I mean, and also he's like, he stopped seeing someone else to be with her, and I don't know. I mean, for Roman anyway, this is not some of the shit you see. It's not that bad, but Cicero with his upright moral, like, if you're married, you don't see someone else, and vice versa. I mean, whatever. It's just like it reads like a tabloid.
It does. Cicero with his Onion article. Oh, God. But
At least Onion's satire,
yeah.
like this is like straight up like, what was the one with Bat Boy?
Oh,
like,
God.
Like it's not even that. It's like The Sun or some shit. Just like very tabloidy, very like expose. It doesn't have to be true. It's just they found a guy who said that happened.
True.
So.
But Cicero also suggested that Antony had married Fulvia for her money.
Which is it? Is he in love with her or doing it for the money? Which is it?
Who knows? I
mean, to me, I could say both, but like, pick your lane, Cicero.
It's a smear campaign.
Right.
Though at the time of their marriage, Antony was an established politician. He had already been tribune in 49 BCE, commanded armies under Caesar, and was the master of the horse in 47 BCE. So what Cicero and all his elitist Roman misogyny couldn't fathom was maybe they'd actually liked each other. That maybe Antony liked that she was a strong woman who spoke her mind and was overall a badass bitch. Crazy, we know. It also blew his mind when Caesar was doing the same thing with Cleo. He was also still salty that Cleo never sent him that book that she recommended. So maybe Cicero is just a petty bitch,
I mean, I facts. These are facts.
Most
his wife left him,
and so all
these guys are getting, puss with these hot ass bitches.
Yup.
And he's mad.
Big mad.
Big mad. And like, the guys are getting in touch with their feelings and like saying they love women, and these women are just like men and just speaking their damn mind wherever, getting their period all over everything. I think if Cicero were alive today, he'd be wearing a red hat.
I think if Cicero were alive today, he would be an incel. Just saying.
Yeah. It's true, though, that Fulvia was a significant and invaluable political partner to Mark Antony. I mean, he didn't marry her just because she was hot and a badass bitch. Well, because she was a badass bitch. That's what made her a badass bitch, Like, It's not going to hurt him to have even more,
Absolutely.
Right. She actively supported his career in politics. Cicero, a very vocal opponent to Antony, even accused Fulvia and Antony of dealing with state matters in a gynoeceum, or women's quarters. Which honestly, I don't even believe that's. I honestly don't believe that's true. Like, no. I don't know. If I have people at my house, I'm not going to go talk in my bedroom. That's weird. Like, oh, why? It's bull. But whatever. Even if it was true, who gives a shit? God. But apparently this was highlighting her perceived unusual level of involvement. Come on, Cicero. be better. Be better.
He doesn't know how.
No. God. Like, I thought he was going to get mad because she dared be in the living room with the men while they were talking, which is probably what really happened. Like, it seems
Probably.
weirder that they all went to her room. I mean, he's probably trying to prove a point. Like, see, like they were so emasculated, they went to her rooms versus her just having enough balls to be in theirs.
Yep.
God forbid. Anyway. So all of this, as an aside, tells me that once you get past all the rich old guys whose writing survives, that maybe the lower classes weren't quite as misogynistic as whole of society made them out to be. Okay? Like, all these other guys have no problem following her. And Mark Antony and Caesar clearly don't mind listening to women and their opinions. I'm not saying they weren't misogynistic. I'm sure they were in their own ways, but at least they're going to give them the fucking time of day,
Yeah.
Like, they at least respect them enough, I mean, more so than a lot of Roman men did. You're not like the bar's in hell, but, I mean, it makes sense, though, since you're lower class. The less you can literally afford to make another healthy adult in your household, you can't take them for granted, right? Like, that's a privilege of the rich to have a housewife. And then let's think about this in a more modern context, right? And this is very broad strokes. Everyone's got different living situations, but like, if we're looking at just stereotypes, right? The poor, we'll do it lower, middle, upper, and I know there's so much in between that, but whatever. Quote unquote lower impoverished people, right? Mom and dad or husband and wife, they both got to work, right? Yep. Middle class, quote unquote, typically you could have, I mean, that's diminishing, but in theory, you could have a husband who works and then the wife is like the mom, the stay-at-home mom, right?
Possibly.
The quote-unquote housewife, right? But she's cooking, she's cleaning, and taking care of babies, right? In theory. And I don't say I'm agreeing with this. I'm just saying this is like, I'm just using it as like to show, as you get richer in the traditional misogynistic roles, right? How the role for the women change, no matter what the guy's quote unquote working, but like the woman, it changes, right? And then when you finally get to like super and rich, right? And depending on the level of rich, you distance yourself even from that, aka trophy wife, right?
Yep.
So like, starting from, oh, well, she doesn't really cook, but she just tells like the servants and stuff what she wants, and she's a little more hands-on with them, all the way to like queens and kings where they literally are to look pretty.
They are a doll that gets dressed 3 times a day.
If they're lucky, their husband lets them do more than that. Yep. But it is within his right as a society to have him upset if she refuses to be more than that. You know what I'm saying? So like, where like Marie Antoinette was questioned, she wants to actually mother her kids. She wants to be in their lives. Gross. Why do you want to do that? You want to play with them?
Children?
Why are they even in this house, bitch? They come out Chokuchi and they go to a whole nother house like 80 miles away. You don't see them again, except for once a year visits, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was considered weird for thinking that's a little weird. She was disconnected from the people in reality, but I will say, she, in her case, right, she had a motherly conviction, and I think she broke barriers with some of that, and unfortunately that was used against her. And you see this with women all the time. It's like, and like, oh, she should want to be motherly. Oh, that would be a good look for her, except she's the queen. The richer you are, for women anyway, doesn't necessarily mean you get freedom. You might get freedom from one thing and restricted in another.
So, like,
Yep.
the middle-class mom might look at the working mom and think, God, she can just go out there and earn her own money, and she gets out of the house, and I'm stuck here all day. And then the rich lady might look at the middle-class wife and go, God, like, she can be a part of her kids' lives. I feel like I was never allowed to do that, or maybe they don't, but, like, it's just like there's something there that you could look back and almost envy the other person,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's just a human experience overall, realistically.
yeah. And that's what this all transcends time,
Mm-hmm.
and that including here. So with that being said, the lower classes probably didn't mind working with her because they were used to talking to women, honestly, because you have to. Can't afford to put your wife up on a shelf.
Nope.
You have to listen to her opinions because she's the one helping run the fucking household with you. So it's not going to be a huge stretch to listen to someone who's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And these old rich guys are not going to write from those perspectives.
Of course not, because that's not their lived experience.
So there is some reading between the lines we have to do sometimes with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, she brought this support along with considerable wealth to her marriage to Antony. You can always use a little more support. You can always use a little more money. And of course, this further bolstered his political standing. This network was used to Antony's advantage in various political skirmishes, but it wasn't just all politics. Things were hot and heavy between these two, if the stories are to be believed. Which, not really a surprise when you consider their personalities, though. She's pretty,
Mm-hmm.
So pretty quickly, the union produced 2 children. And here we go with the original names. Like right off the bat, Marcus Antonius Attilius, born in 47 BCE, and Iolus Antonius. So keeping score, Antony now has 3 babies at this point.
Mm-hmm.
At least 3 that we know of. Because again, we got that first wife situationship thing. So,
yes, first wife situationship thing, but also a second wife. And Marky
well, the
boy.
second wife, yeah.
He was already married with the kid and everything. We almost forgot about her. And so does history, it seems. Antony married Antonia Hybrida Minor in his younger years, likely to advance his political career through a suitable family connection. They also had at least one daughter, also named Antonia, often referred to as Antonia Prima, to distinguish her from the other Antonias in the family. Well, Antony divorced her in 47 BCE, reportedly on the grounds of adultery, which is rich. Specifically, with Publius Cornelius Dolabella. Yes, the one that had raised that whole rebellion, who also had apparently long before that been a friend of Antony's and the son-in-law of Cicero. But her marriage to Antony had just been a conventional Roman aristocratic union, and it had run its course. Her divorce to Antony allowed him to marry Fulvia, a union that proved to be far more politically charged and impactful. So she would be traded in for a new model, so to speak. The drama.
Oh, it really feels that way, though, don't it? Like, it's like, God, maybe he loved Fulvia. Maybe that's still true, but this can also still be true. Like,
yeah.
on the one hand, I mean, it was his cousin.
It was his cousin, and maybe she just didn't want to be a cousin fucker. Who knows?
But, it's like he did that to that first girl. He does that to, I'm just saying this is a trend and we don't like it.
No, we don't. And if you were hoping to know what happened next for poor Antonia, well, we know you're probably used to this by now, but you're going to be disappointed. After her divorce from Antony in 47 BCE, Antonia Hybrida Minor largely disappears from the historical record. Just drops off the face of the earth. Unfortunately, misogynistic Roman sources tend to focus on men. In the rare instances that they did cover a woman, they would have to be politically active. So as far as we can tell, after she was divorced by Antony, she did not remarry into another prominent political family, and her life likely became much more private. We do know that she had at least one daughter with Mark Antony, also named. This daughter later married Pythodoros of Tralles, and their descendants included Queen Pythodoros of Pontus, indicating that Antonia Hybrida Minor's lineage continued through her daughter. So that's something, at least. But like we said, there is no readily available information about her later life, whether she remarried or when she died. Her significance in history primarily stems from her brief marriage to Mark Antony, as it allowed him to then marry the far more politically influential Fulvia. But since we have no further information, there is nothing stopping us from imagining she lived a lovely, quiet life, enjoying her family to a ripe old age. Honestly, if that's true, that's kind of its own justice, since everyone else doesn't get any happy endings here.
It's spoilers. Are you telling me Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, Mark Antony, and Fulvia don't all just die of old age holding hands together in some weird poly relationship? Not that
Poly kumbaya.
relation-
Nope.
Not that
Sorry.
poly relation. Not that poly's weird. I'm just saying this would be kind of a weird relationship with these
Absolutely, it would be.
people.
That'd be so fucking
This
weird.
is a concoction of people. The only thing that would make it weirder if Cicero was there. but no one wanted that. That's why he's mad.
That's why he's mad. He wasn't invited to the orgy.
No one wants Cicero at an orgy. He's a bummer.
I mean, why would you want to? You don't invite them to the orgy.
He'd just be like going to Pound Town, like, yo, Cleo, are you ever going to send that book you promised? She's like, oh my God. Who invited this guy?
Shut up. Jesus
Caesar, get him out of here.
Christ.
You just keep thumping the couch cushions. He's ruining my couch.
I'm gonna cry. Oh my God. I'm gonna cry.
His old balls flapping against the. He's got this row had a wrinkly butt for sure. Anyway, so, but wait, is that boat I see in the distance? When Cleopatra first came to Rome in 46 BCE, Mark Antony was serving as Julius Caesar's master of the horse and administrator of Italy. But if you were hoping for a cat fight of epic proportions, let's dash that idea from your minds. While Cleopatra was at Rome as Caesar's guest, it's highly likely she and Mark Antony would have interacted, given his close association with Caesar. So a little different than the first time. They're a little. Everyone here's a little bit more equals at this point. I would say Cleo's still higher now, though.
Absolutely.
Like she's going to interact with. Right. She's going to interact with Antony because Antony is her boo's go-to man, So she's going to give him orders or whatever. But it's not, like where she was just a princess and her job is to just observe and his job as an officer was just to observe and not speak. Like now they're both going to be at least in a position to talk to each other, at least unlike business, So
And honestly, I think this makes more sense. The idea that people just like lock eyes, they fell in love right in that moment. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Relationships build up over time,
They do.
right? And yeah. So with that all being said, while Clea was living in Caesar's villa at the time, and Antony, being one of Caesar's most trusted confidants, would have undoubtedly been present at events and meetings where she also would be present. As Caesar's close ally and a leading figure in Roman politics, Antony would have been part of the social and political circles that Cleopatra was in, and would have frequented. However, there again, we're just going to say their famous relationship does not begin at this time. There's no flirty eyes across the table and playing footsies, or a wink towards her and she giggles, like a rom-com while she's still with Caesar. None of that shit's happening.
No.
Okay, not at all. Good coworkers, friends maybe, but at least good coworkers. Got a working relationship. And all that stuff, the political and then romantic stuff, would develop way later. Way later. For now, this is where we're staying. She was just his best buds and new daddy's main girl. And bro code means she's off limits. Bro code. You don't fuck with bro's girlfriend. So, other than hooking up and disappointing his new daddy, what was Marky Boy doing throughout all this? Well, as we discussed before, at the start of this period, Antony had been Caesar's trusted second in command during much of the Civil War. He had also served as Caesar's master of the horse, Caesar's chief deputy in Rome, and the administrator of Italy while Caesar was, in Africa, leading campaigns against the Pompeian remnants, banging Cleo, all that good stuff. Fighting another civil war that wasn't really even his civil war, all that good stuff. However, Antony's conduct during this time led to a significant falling out with Caesar. Antony's administration of Italy was characterized by considerable luxury, ostentatious living, and a perceived abuse of power. He incurred massive debts through lavish spending and engaging in public displays that scandalized conservative Roman opinion. He rode around in a chariot drawn by lions, hosted extravagant banquets, and reportedly had public affairs, even bringing his mistress, that actress named, Cythereus, with him. It was also criticized for his handling of unrest in Rome, particularly his violent suppression of a riot by former soldiers who were demanding their land grants. So when Caesar had returned from Africa victorious in July 36 BCE, he was deeply displeased with Antony's behavior. He reportedly refused to see Antony for a considerable period, publicly humiliated him by refusing to appoint him as an aide for an upcoming campaign, and stripped him of direct administrative authority. Antony was effectively sidelined, living an opulent but politically diminished life for a time. So, new daddy, he's not mad. He's just disappointed.
Daddy, chill. That's all that was playing in my head during. Daddy, chill. But despite the initial chill, Antony's unwavering loyalty to Caesar eventually led to a gradual reconciliation. Daddy just couldn't stay mad at the lovable scamp. After all, he never wavered in his support for Caesar, even when he was out of favor. Throughout this period, as Caesar's power grew and fears of his monarchical ambitions intensified, many began to plot against him. Antony was approached by some who sought to involve him in conspiracies, but he consistently refused. His loyalty to Caesar was absolute, even when Caesar started wearing some very cunty, thigh-high red boots and calling himself divine.
I love this.
Kinky
So,
boots!
so there's context behind this. I mean, they are apparently they have something to do with he was a part of like his temple of Jupiter, or like it's actually, now that I think about it, I think
It's
the boots
Venus,
had to
isn't
do
it?
with his association with Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like they're more like a sandal really than a boot, I suppose. But I just love the idea of like him, like, just imagine this, okay? Everything about Julius Caesar is the same, okay? As you start from your head, work your way down. He's wearing the toga, everything like that. And then you get to about his upper, like, thigh right before the knee. And all of a sudden, the toga gets short, and all you see are shapely legs and thigh high red leather high heel boots.
Kinky boots.
And he's like, listen up, boys. It's time for some changes around here. And he's just like got the personality of like Dr. Frankenfurter.
Yes.
You know, he's like,
Here for it.
I know you're
Absolutely here
all
for it.
full of anticipation.
Patient.
You know, I like to think that.
Absolutely.
There's nothing saying he didn't do that, so that's my fantasy, and you can't tell me otherwise. So,
But for his part, he recognized Antony's immense value as a military commander, a popular figure, especially among the veterans, and a powerful political operator. Daddy needed loyal and capable men to help him govern the vast Roman world. So by 44 BCE, Antony had fully regained Caesar's trust and was positioned at the very apex of Roman political life. He was elected as one of the two consuls for 44 BCE, sharing the highest magistracy in the Roman Empire with Caesar himself, who was dictator perpetuo, or dictator for life. This was a
with his
monumental achievement. You were saying?
I was just thinking, like, imagine him now. Really imagine him. He just strolls into the Senate. Click, 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 click. Listen up, boys. I'm tired of this mess. So I'm going to be dictator for life. Slay. Flips around. And then just click, 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 click. And then Nancy just like runs up. He's like, you did great.
But this solidified his position as new Daddy Caesar's right-hand man. He presided over the Senate and played a crucial role in the day-to-day administration of Rome, though always subordinate to Caesar's ultimate authority. And with that authority, meant now was Antony's time to start taking the spotlight himself. He would lean into his party boy good time rep and use it productively, specifically with a little festival called Lupercalia. But that will have to wait until next time. This is a monumental occasion, not just in Antony's life, but one of the most infamous moments in Western history. It would go on to inspire artists, poets, and even Shakespeare. You won't want to miss it.
And I know you're super excited to talk about Lupercalia.
I love Lupercalia so much.
You'll love it too, guys. So, if you like what you heard today, please give us a positive review on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. It goes a long way for us to appease the algorithm gods and gets this suggested to others just like you. The more we can connect to our fellow history nerds, the more we can build up a community and keep this show going.
Also, we have a Patreon where you can come hang out with us and get exclusive content, like videos where we might try to make some ancient recipes, talk about topics that couldn't fit into the main arcs of the podcast, and just generally being batshit and dumpster fires. All for the price of a latte per month. Research materials and books cost a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time for us to create this show, so anything that you can provide would be a huge help.
We can't wait to see you again next week. And as always, thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.